where magical stories come to life. Welcome to Wonder Tales TV.
In ancient times, there was a kingdom full of happiness and joy. The king and queen lived there and had one wish. That wish was to have a child. The king and queen were very kind people, so they had great confidence that their wish would come true someday. And one day, their wish came true, and they were blessed with a delicate baby girl. And because she was as bright as the sun that lit up the day, the little Princess Sunlight was named. The king and queen decided to hold a big dance party to celebrate the birth of their daughter, Sunlight. Everyone was invited, even the fairies who lived in the mysterious forest. But the king and queen made a big mistake. They forgot to invite one particular fairy. Everyone from all over the kingdom, in addition to kings and queens from neighboring kingdoms, offered gifts and good wishes to Sunlight. And last but not least, it was time for the 12 fairies. The fairies presented very special gifts to Sunlight, and using their magic wands, they bestowed upon Sunlight everything she could ever wish for in the world. In the end, 3 fairies remained to present their gifts, and they also presented beautiful gifts to Sunlight.
May you have all the beauty in the world. Little princess, my gift to you is eternal happiness. May you always be happy and never be sad.
And while the last fairy was preparing to present her gift, something completely unexpected happened. Suddenly, the entire ballroom was filled with green smoke, and when the smoke cleared, the cruel black fairy appeared. The king wondered who this fairy was who dared to intrude upon this beautiful celebration. The other fairies immediately recognized her. It was the cruel black fairy.
Well, I see that everyone has been invited. All the people in the kingdom, your friends, the kings and queens and the fairies. But unfortunately, I was not invited.
The king apologized for that impolite behavior.
Well, I will not leave this beautiful little princess without a truly special gift. This beautiful princess will live surrounded by happiness, love, and admiration. But on her 16th birthday, specifically before sunset, she will prick herself with a needle and depart forever.
"Arrest that monster!" shouted the king, but the cruel black fairy disappeared, laughing her evil laugh. "Ha ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha!" It was the last fairy's turn to present her gift. She was not as powerful and dominant as the cruel black fairy, but she wished for something that would at least alleviate the effect of the evil curse.
I cannot prevent that curse, but I can influence its outcome. When the time of the curse comes, you will live and not die. You will only fall into a deep sleep and awaken with a kiss of true love. This is my gift to you.
In an attempt to prevent that evil curse from occurring, the king ordered all needles, sewing machines, and everything related to those things to be collected and burned in the castle courtyard. With the gifts of the fairies, Princess Sunlight grew into a beautiful and delicate child whom everyone loved. One day, her father, the king, ordered the 3 fairies to look after and guard Sunlight, which was not an easy task at all because Sunlight would not be in contact with anyone except those 3 fairies. Sunlight grew up to be a very beautiful girl in the company of the fairies. Finally, the promised day came. This is her 16th birthday. She only has until sunset, then the cruel black fairy's curse will come true. The king and queen had done everything they could to prevent the curse from coming true, but they were still worried that it would happen anyway. So they locked the beautiful princess in a closed room for her protection. But without knowing what was happening, Sunlight was not happy to be imprisoned. Suddenly, a door appeared in the middle of the wall. Sunlight was fascinated by the appearance of this door, which she had never seen before. Then she heard a suspicious noise coming from behind the door. Driven by her curiosity and unaware of what would happen, Sunlight entered through the door. In the room she entered, there was that lady sitting sewing with her back to the door. Sunlight walked as if enchanted towards the sewing machine. And exactly at sunset, the cruel black fairy's curse came true as Sunlight reached the needle. And then, what was expected happened, and with a single touch to the tip of the needle, the girl fell and went into her eternal sleep.
Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
And so it was. At sunset on Sunlight's 16th birthday, the cruel black fairy's curse was fulfilled. Sunlight was placed in a box of flowers after they dressed her in her most beautiful gowns. And so began the days when Sunlight was called the Sleeping Beauty. The king and queen wanted to stop this pain, so they decided to make everyone in the castle fall into a deep sleep and not wake up until the princess woke up. Years passed, and one day there was a handsome prince passing near the castle and saw it covered with thorny bushes and ivy trees. His men told him the story of the castle and the sleeping princess. The prince was very excited and decided to enter the castle. The bushes were very thick, in addition to the thorns that made it almost impossible to pass through. So the prince drew his sword and began to clear a path for himself by cutting the bushes. And as he made his way inside, he finally found himself in front of the door, where he saw 2 sleeping guards there. He opened the door and was greatly astonished by what he saw. Everyone was on the ground, sleeping everywhere around him. So he began to wander inside the castle and then reached the king's room. There, the king and queen were also sleeping on their chairs. Then he saw a room with a slightly open door, so he entered it. And this was the room where the Sleeping Beauty was sleeping in her bed, covered with flowers. The prince approached the bed, looked at the beautiful princess, then approached her ear.
You are the famous Sleeping Beauty. You are very beautiful.
The prince whispered, feeling overwhelmed with love. He leaned over her forehead. At that moment, she opened her eyes and saw the handsome prince looking at her. With her awakening, everyone in the castle did the same thing after 100 years of sleep. The king and queen were in great shock, so they quickly went to Sunlight's room to see what was happening. And when they found their daughter awake, they became extremely happy and joyful. The prince asked the Sleeping Beauty to marry him. So the princess smiled at him and accepted his proposal. And of course, the king gave his blessing to the prince, who saved his daughter and his kingdom. And they had the most beautiful wedding celebration anyone had ever seen. And everyone lived happily ever after.